Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. On this video series we're going to be doing 11 questions. This 11 question I picked up from the book Tribe of Mentors. 11 questions that you can ask somebody else, but what you can do is probably you can start asking yourself these questions and then you can start reflecting on them so that when you go meet that person you can compare answers. Just before we start with the whole mentoring question things, I just want to take this moment just to explain something else. Why I actually believe it's important to seek an analyst mentor. I know you might be asking, what about a coach? So I just want to do 4 words that actually maybe you can explain it all. It's called the TAPS model, T-A-P-S, TAPS model. T stands for tell. So maybe let's put at the bottom here, it's a tell. Opposite of tell is ask. Tell, ask, and then at one point it will be, P and S is problem or solution. So you tell, ask about the problem or solution. Tell, ask, problem, solution. So let's start with one quadrant. Let's say you tell about a problem. So when you tell about the problem, that's when you go meet somebody else and you go in to explain what is wrong with you, why you are late with your deliverables. That's like what a manager will do. You tell him, you go into your manager, listen, Mr. Exec, I'm below, because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this person stuffed up. That's you telling about the solution. So in that case, you need to speak to your manager if you like to tell about problem, I meant to say. When you like to tell about the problem, that is where you look for a manager. If you like to ask about the problem, that's where probably you need counseling, you need some rescuing or some counseling in some way, where you ask somebody else about your problem and you say, how could you ask those questions to say, what happened when I was 6 years old that might lead to today? What happened when I was 12 years old? You're asking about what might be causing a problem today. It might be procrastination. You might go back to say, why am I such a procrastinating analyst? And then you can ask questions to understand the problem. But if you go find somebody else who tells you about the problem, that's where your manager. It's like consultation. You get big consulting companies to tell us about our problem. That's what it is. PwC, Deloitte, KPMG, they walk in, they tell you where the problem is and you pay them big bucks about that. You go meet somebody else, you tell them, you ask them about the problem, and then they show you where the problem is. Those are psychologists. So that's on the problem side of things. Let's switch this side. If you find somebody else who you're going to ask about the solution, that is what we call coaching. You go into somebody else, you say, I'm such a procrastinator, but I'm looking for what can I do to stop procrastinating? What methods can I use to present my numbers better? What can I do to reduce the time? That person asks you the questions, but you go look for a solution using those questions. That's what coaching is all about. So at work, they might assign you somebody else. Their job is not to tell you about the solution, but it's just to ask you questions until you come up with your own answer. That's coaching. Now, the one at the bottom here that we're looking at in this video is somebody else who's telling you about the solution. So somebody who tells you about the solution is somebody else who have done it. Let's go back to procrastination. Somebody who used to be a serial procrastinator, if there's such a thing. And he tells you how did he make it out. There's a nice TED Talk session about the guy who actually made it out of procrastination. That's the people that you consult. You ask them, how did you get out of there? And you read books or you watch people's biographies. They actually go into the mentoring session. So in this video, we're looking at probably the 11 questions that you can ask your analyst mentor. So somebody else who have made it so big in the analyst world. You walk in, you ask them the questions. The questions are not about what is 1 + 1. They are not analytical, but they're trying to get the softer side of things. And then you match the softer side of things. Like if somebody says, I wake up every morning at 5 o'clock just to, feel the wind, the breeze, the whatever. Maybe that's his spark to greatness. So those are the questions that we're looking at. That small quadrant where you are, where somebody tells you about the solution. So that's mentoring for me. This video is about telling about the solution. So 11 questions that tells you about the solutions. The first question for this video is, what is a book or books you have mostly gifted as a gift and why? Or what are one to three books that you have greatly influenced your life? The second question that we're looking at is what is a purchase of 1,000 rand or less? I think it's supposed to be $100 if you are doing it dollars, but I'm saying what is a purchase of 1,000 rand or less that potentially impacted your life in the last 6 months and why? Kindly be specific with brand and model. Third question that we have in this video is what failure or apparent failure has set you up for later success in life? Do you have a favorite failure of yours? And the fourth question for this video is if you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it to get the message out to millions of people, what would it say and why? It could be a few words or a paragraph. If helpful, it could be your codes or somebody else's codes. What codes do you often think about and live your life by? So the fifth question that to ask is what are some of the best or worthwhile investments you have ever made? It could be an investment of money, time, energy, and etc. The nice question that is making me laugh just thinking about it. It says, what is an unusual habit or an upset thing that you love to do? The seventh question that we can talk about in this video is, in the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has made you change your life? This question is very, very important. It says, what advice would you give to a smart, driven student who is about to enter the so-called real world? What advice should they ignore? The ninth question is, what are bad recommendations do you hear in your area of expertise? What are the bad recommendations do you hear about in your area of expertise? 10th question says, in the last 5 years, what have you become good at saying no to? As part of the 11th question, he sent these questions to the world best, and they all gave him a different perspective on his life, and he uses that whenever he's feeling down to put himself up. He even shared with us in a form of a book. The book is called A Tribe of Mentors. Please pick a copy if you want. I'm not advertising. He didn't pay for anything in here, but it's a tool that I quite like.